Hello, and welcome to Topside Governor's Investigator 3 software demo. What this will do is take you through the full investigation process using Investigator 3 and give you an idea of how to use the software in your own organisation. I'll get started. This is the main page. As you can see, the investigation workflow runs from number 1 to 9. You can start anywhere, but it makes most sense to start at number 1. On the left-hand column here, where you can see the cursor, this is your navigation bar, and this is how you move around the software. So I'll start with entering the initial incident details. Along the top here, you can see some tabs. This is how we move around, or if you prefer, you can use the next button. This screen is where we put all of the information about the incident in the basic format. So for this incident, the report title, I've just labelled that up as Tree Surgeon Incident. Here is the draft number, and here is the name of the author, John Brown. Should you wish to add another author, you simply add or remove as required. The incident details the date, the time, and the location of where the incident happened. As you can see, a small box will pop up, giving you a prompt to help you fill out the box. The type and severity of the incident, and here you check if it's reportable under law. Moving on to the detailed information stage. What happened? A one-line incident statement. Here's where we put a basic statement of the incident, either a brief, factual or description of what happened. What were the consequences or the potential consequences, because these are equally important. Here, the detailed description of the incident. Use your own language, your own free text, and you can cut and copy from Word should you prefer, or you can type it in straight away. The next stage is people involved. So this is the investigation team. Again, you can add and remove as needed. I will add myself. My name's George. So I would type in George. Here you can put in your employment files and other notes of interest. The people involved in the incident, such as the injured persons, or the IP, sometimes they're called, the other involved persons, witnesses. If we would like to add someone, again, you press the add button or remove. Once you've added someone, you can edit their details. So for Joe Green, who was the injured person, you have his basic information, name, address, date of birth, etc., the employment details, and you can attach any employment files, training records, as you see fit. Because he's the injured person, you can also then check the injury details box, and here you classify the injury as required, nature of the injury, parts of the body, and the source of the injury. Again, you can use the previous button to go back, or you can use the tabs to navigate whichever you see fit. And that is the incident details stage. Now that the incident details stage has been completed, we move on to the terms of reference using the navigation bar on the left-hand side. The terms of reference, sometimes called TOR, are particularly important for the larger, more serious investigations, and they must be agreed with the team leader or with your sponsor or a manager. And the terms of reference are basically the details or the scope that have to be defined in order to know what needs to be done. So who is to be involved in the investigation team, when the first draft is due, and what the investigation should consider. In this specific incident, then to the tree surgeon incident on the 19th of February, John Brown was the appointed team leader. The other members of the team were myself, George, and Tom Stone. Health and safety representatives from Largs, Scotland should be part of the team. It's worth pointing out here that this information has been pulled from the incident details stage that you typed in at stage 1. It covers the remit of the investigation and tells the investigation team what they should consider. Now, this is the default terms of reference in the software. Should you or your organisation wish to edit the default terms to something more appropriate, that can be done very easily using this box here, where we change the text. We can then reset it. I won't bother just now. But once that's reset, you can make that the default terms. So this is the terms of reference stage. Moving on from terms of reference, we then again use the left-hand navigation bar to go to the report introduction section. This is where you use free text to describe the incident in as much detail as you possibly can. Should you have any relevant attachments or notes or images that you would like to put into the introduction, here is how you will do that. The next stage is the method of work. This is the type of process or the investigation methodology that you and the investigation team are using so it can be referred to in the report. We would always recommend using the Topset incident investigation methodology, but if you use something else, that's equally fine. After we've covered the report introduction and the method of work used to investigate the incident, we then go on to plan the investigation. The yellow card you see in front of you is the Topset indicator card and is the real strength of the Topset methodology. This can be used as an aid memoir or an attention guiding framework, as we call it in Topset. This is to help the team think about areas they may want to investigate for gathering information, such as equipment and maintenance, buildings and structures, vessels and pipeworks. If we, as the investigation team, have any questions pertaining to these sections or to these indicators, we will then ask questions and we can plan it out as accordingly. If you ever want to see this again, you can always click on the Topset Planner image, as I just did there. However, for the purposes of software, these columns have been put into boxes behind this yellow diagram. This is also where the word Topset comes from. T for technology, O for organisation, P for people in red because they're always involved, S for similar events. If it's happened before, pull out the report. You may be able to see if all the recommendations have been implemented, and you could save yourself a great deal of time. E for environment, and T, the time sequence or the history of events. So that's Topset. So, as the investigation team, we look at these indicators to see if there are any questions we would like to ask about this, such as the management or supervision. So I, as the investigation team member, would like to see a planning issue about management and supervision. My action is to check who was supervising, and there is an action required, and here is where we select who has to do the action, be it John, Tom or myself. And as it normally happens in investigations, there may be new people come and go. You can add a new person as you choose. So I have this action. There's a high priority on this, and the investigation team leader can select a date 1 day's time from now. If there are any notes that we would like to say about this, we would then type them in here. Can't find the supervision records. Okay, so we go through this. For each one of these indicators, culture, morale, methods and procedures, contractors and others, resources and finance, what this does is this takes people out of their comfort zones, such as organisation and people, and asks them questions to think about in things that they're not necessarily as familiar with, such as technology and environment. Now, this is explained in further depth on the Topset courses, but you should be able to understand how this works from this demonstration. Once we have asked all the questions pertaining to the investigation planner, this then builds up a list of planning actions. As you can see, this has been completed before. This is really the hub of the investigation. where the investigation information gets managed, where the investigation team gets managed, and where the actions get managed in SMART format. Who has to do what, by when, and what are the timelines associated with that. Should we wish to export this as a list, we can preview and export. So you can export all of your team's actions, or you could email them if you require. And should you just wish to see one individual's actions, you can see the one that I typed in there. This can be emailed to me, and then once I've investigated the action, I can then come back and edit it. So I've found from the supervision records that Peter Brown was doing the supervision on that specific day, and then that's completed. As you can see, this is a very, very useful tool for managing the entire investigation, because you ask the questions in the planning stage, and these are the actions that we, as the investigation team, have to carry out in order to progress the investigation. Once we have completed all of the actions and the planning issues from the list, we can then start to develop our storyboard. Again, using the left-hand column, we can click on Develop the Storyboard. Now this would normally be blank, but because this is a pre-populated file, you can already see some of the post-its that we have put on. This mirrors the Topset paper-based system and is used as the central repository for all of the information. Once we've planned it, we then find the answers to our questions and we put them up on the storyboard like so. So say I wanted to put my issue, which was about the supervision, who was supervising. I double click and I'll type in Peter Brown was supervising. And then press enter, and I will use the left button, to drag the post-it to the people section. As you can see, you've got the top set headers: technology, environment, organization, people, and similar events, with the timeline running from left to right where the incident happened on the right hand side. Should you wish to see the time periods, you click on show the time periods, like so. If you have evidence to back up something on the storyboard, you can always change the color of the post-its like you can do in real life. So if I have evidence to back this up, I'll then turn that to green, and I would attach a file such as a witness statement that says Peter Brown was supervising. You may have also noticed that here in the right hand column you have a number of options available. You can set the time of the incident if you know it, and you can also, if something persists over a period, you can also check here. Should you have some confidential information within this post-it that you do not wish to be shown in the report, you can have it. If you uncheck that, then this box here, then the post-it becomes greyed out. I'll do that again so you can see. That will be shown in the report. That will not be. So what we're doing is we're building up a full storyboard of all of the answers to our questions and of the incident as we see fit as the investigation team. Always remember that at the top of the storyboards, be it a paper-based system or in the software, to focus on the incident statement so you don't lose track of what you're supposed to be investigating. Again, this was man cut by moving chainsaw. Consequences were the cut leg, with potential consequence for severe injury and possible loss of leg. Now this is done automatically for you, but it just saves you having to do it separately. Another one of the benefits of this section is you do not have to have a separate drawing diagram to make your storyboard. And again, this can be exported very easily or emailed to a colleague if you would like to work on an investigation remotely. So that is developing the storyboard section. Bearing in mind that the storyboard section is an iterative process, we will ask questions and we will get answers to those questions, but they will in turn undoubtedly lead to further questions that will therefore have to be investigated and put up on the storyboard so that the full picture is in one place under the top set headers again. But once we have no unanswered questions, no actions left to do, or no stone unturned, we then go on to analysing the root causes. Again, click on the left-hand column to the root cause diagram section. Now there are many different terms for this. Some people call it root cause analysis, 5 whys, some people use fishbone diagrams, but the concept is roughly the same. Our terminology within Topset, the top layer is immediate causes, the next tier down underlying causes, and then the final tier are root causes. Now the example I like to use is the pipe fell on a man. The two immediate causes were the pipe fell and the man was in the wrong place. If the pipe fell and the man wasn't in the wrong place, then that would be a separate incident. So you needed those two immediate causes for that specific incident to happen. More about incident investigation, immediate causes, underlying causes and root cause analysis is taught on the Topset courses, but for now I'll take you through how to actually use the software to do your root cause analysis. As you can see, it's been populated for me because this is again a pre-populated example. To put your first post-it in, we double click and I'll put A. To make the next tier down, you click on the arrow, double click, and we type in B. Same again. A leads to B, leads to C. But if there was another element there, we can double click this again, and it will again spread like so. Now this is very useful because again you don't need a separate drawing package. This is all contained within the software. And the question that we asked to link A to B is why. So the immediate cause was A, why? Because B happened. Why? Because C and or D happened. Now you'll notice I just double clicked the arrows there and a new cause came up. To move the causes about, you use the left-hand mouse button, hold it down and move around like so. Or should you wish to move one independently of the others, you can just click on this to neaten it up. So I will put that down to be the root causes and I'll bring this down to be the underlying causes. Again, like the storyboard, should you have any evidence files to back any of these immediate causes, underlying causes or root causes up, you can change the color here or add more details such as a description, the location of the event, date, time, etc. Should you have any attachments that you would like to link to a specific post-it, here is where we do this again. And again, by clicking on the folder, you can add your file, like so. It's worth noting here that all of the links that you see here will be automatically included in the report. So with this specific example, what happened? Mr. Green slipped. Mr. Green was not wearing his spikes on his shoes. Why? He took a chance, he thought he didn't need them. Why? It was a general gung-ho attitude on the job. Should you wish to zoom in, you use the zoom button. Should you wish to fit to the screen, you click fit. And should you wish to pan, you can pan around like so. Also, should we wish to add a recommendation to one of the causes, we can right click and then click add recommendation. So the recommendation for this root cause could be refine or redevelop safety process. Again, with all of the actions, they're in the SMART format. Who has to do it? By what time? When? Is it realistic? Is it timely? and you'll see a recommendation bubble pops up next to the cause. As with other diagrams, this can be easily exportable or emailable to a colleague so you can talk about it together. And as with the other one, the incident statement and the consequences are always in plain sight so we don't lose sight of what we're investigating. Once we have found our root causes, and again, for more information on root cause analysis and the incident investigation processes, please visit www.kelvintopset.com. We'll be able to help you there or go on one of the courses. But once we have seen what the root causes are, we can then go on to make recommendations and to summarise the report. Okay, by clicking the recommendations and summary button here, we then move on to recommendations and the executive summary. The recommendations again are in SMART format, so specific, measurable, achievable, realistic and timely. In this pre-populated example, there were 3 recommendations. However, as you saw in the previous section, I added another recommendation such as redevelop the safety processes, and should you wish to see what that links to, you can see that it linked to the previous cause, which I'll show you here. There you can see it, the new cause, and the recommendation is linked to that. This is very good for the paper trail so that you can ascertain what recommendation was linked to what cause, and to back up the reason and the rationale for having that specific recommendations. Once these have been completed, much like the planning actions, we can tick the completed buttons. Again, these can be easily emailed to your colleagues or to the investigation team. Once we've finished the recommendations, we can then move on to the executive summary. The executive summary is where we discuss the findings and we write our conclusion. Again, should you prefer to write it in Word or any other text document, you can cut and paste from that, or you can just use the rich text here to write it here. This will always be automatically included into the report, and please bear in mind the audience of the report or the recipient of the report, so try not to use too much technical jargon if and where possible. And now for the report. When you click Report Preview, it automatically generates the report, including all of the information that you as the investigation team have put into the software. Should you wish to customize the software to put your own logo here, I'll quickly show you how to do that. You go into Tools, Application Settings, Report, right click, Load, and you just choose your own company logo. Come out of the report and go back into it. And then the report will feature your own company logo on every page. Down the left-hand column here, you can see the map of the investigation report, or you can scroll down as normal. I'll make a copy of this report available with this video so you can read it at your own time. It covers the incident, what happened, the findings, all of the evidence files, the diagrams, such as the root cause diagram that we had in there, and the time sequence leading up to it. There's a very comprehensive report. There's your injured party report. And there's your analysis diagram. There are 2 things I'd like to point out before I conclude this video. One is that it is easily exportable to Word or to PDF, so if you have your own particular format of reports that you like to use, you can do that. And the second thing is that, again, it can be tailored to suit your requirements. So, that was a short overview video of Topset Governors Investigator 3 software. Thank you for your time. If you have any more questions, please don't hesitate to get in touch, either by visiting www.kelvintopset.com or by calling the Kelvin Topset office number on +44 1475 560 007. Thank you for your time.